Before the first rays of dawn break through the brooding clouds, you set out, heading northwest from the keep, beneath a somber, overcast sky. In the far distance, the jagged silhouette of the Chaos Scar's ridges broods on the horizon, a grim reminder of what lies ahead. Marshland soon claims the terrain, thick with damp undergrowth and scattered with slabs of ancient stone. Sister Helene grows a little nervous, knowing that she enters into the domain of frogs. By late morning, the earth grows slick with bog water as you approach a low, rise-covered hill, and there, shrouded in the mist of the surrounding fen, stands the Grotto. From a shadowed cave mouth on its southern face, faint tendrils of smoke rise, like a warning, or perhaps like a summons. Welcome to Nosh Solo. And welcome back, and welcome to this third session of the Keep on the Borderlands, using the GURPS 4th edition rule set and the 4th edition D&D module, Keep on the Borderlands. And I am Nosh, and we are going to go into a combat in short order, because inside this Grotto jail are a bunch of baddies. And we know what happens to baddies in any role-playing game. There will be a little parley, there will be a little attempt at some negotiations, and then the Ring of Steel will fill that grotto. So it's what you've all been waiting for. Okay, but before we begin, I'm just going to shut this down. Let's do another homage, shall we, to Moldvay. And I'm going to share with you another image here. And what did we do last time? I think we did the fighter last time. Let's do the cleric. Yeah, we'll do the cleric. So there's an image of the cleric, and let's boost that image for you. There you go. All right. So yeah, I'd like to just read the, what is the background on the cleric in this homage to Moldvay? Let's see. Clerics are devoted humans who serve the will of a god or goddess, acting as both warriors of faith and wielders of divine magic. Trained in both combat and spellcasting, clerics walk a sacred path, channeling the power of their deity to heal, protect, and smite the unholy. While they begin their journey without access to spells, clerics gain divine magic upon further experience, once they have demonstrated true devotion to their patron. As they rise in experience, their connection to the divine deepens, granting them access to increasingly powerful spells and sacred abilities. Clerics are permitted to wear any type of armor and may carry shields, allowing them to stand firm on the front lines. However, bound by the tenets of their faith, they are forbidden from wielding edged weapons such as swords or arrows. Instead, they rely on blunt instruments of righteousness, like maces, warhammers, or slings, to carry out their divine mission. Whether healing the wounded, turning away the undead, or delivering divine judgment, clerics are a cornerstone of any adventuring party, embodying the strength and mercy of the gods they serve. Okay, so we'll close out this image of the cleric. All right, so the party stops some distance from the grotto, not wanting to be seen at its large, cavernous entrance. And Garron peers into its dark mouth and ponders. Thalwyn, he gets an arrow slotted into his longbow, and Penny, she does the same. Kael pulls out his rapier. Sister Haleen readies her mace and shield. Garron also gets his shield ready, and Thrumley gets his shield and his axe ready. And Velistra, she stands there thumbing her quarterstaff. Garron looks at Kael and says, "All right, thief." Garron, says Kael. "I'm sorry," says Garron. "Okay, rogue. That's better. Okay, rogue. Well, then, why don't you head over to the entrance and see if you can't quietly go in there and come back and report to us what you see. Consider it done, Garron." So Kael, he quietly walks up to the edge of the entrance of the grotto, and he's going to go inside, and he's going to have to make a stealth check. So this will be a check into the box, and the modifier for this is going to be a significant -5. So let's see if he can do it. We'll go down to abilities and find his stealth. Now it's a pretty good 15, but at -5, that takes him down to about a 50% chance. Well, shake and bake, Kael. All right. So Kael enters and disappears into the grotto's mouth. And what he sees is instantly a large cavernous space lit by what appear to be 2 large bonfires. The air inside the grotto hangs thick with the pungent scent of swamp water and wood smoke, the haze curling from a pair of modest campfires. The cave is surprisingly well lit, revealing 2 still pools that reflect the firelight in trembling fragments and starbursts on the ceiling. To the left of the entrance, beside a low-burning fire, lies a heap of animal furs, beside a dark, open pit in the ground, or at least that's what Kael thinks it is. A yellow-green scaled creature, reptilian in form, lean and watchful, lounges nearby, gripping a net and spear with quiet readiness. And nearer the fire, a green-scaled drake rests, now presently sniffing at the air. Across the chamber, tending a second blaze, a dragonborn clad in heavy armor kneels in silence, his posture disciplined. At his flank rests another green-scaled drake, eyes glowing faintly in the fire's flicker, and it too begins sniffing the air. Beyond them, the rear of the rocky grotto is cloaked in shadow, the firelight falling only so far and failing to reach into what perhaps are further depths, leaving whatever lies there shrouded in mystery. So, let's see if these 2 creatures pick up Kael's scent. How's that? So I'm going to go and do a little sniff test on these 2 beings. And let's see if they can meet or beat Kael's stealth roll. That is, if he actually succeeded. They are sniffing. So they're going to get a significant bonus to their perception rolls here. Here goes the first one. Okay, and here goes the second one. Okay, so Kael gets in only so far. He actually made his stealth check by like 5. But as you can see, one of those 4-legged lizard-looking things succeeded by 8. And so I will rule that they pick up Kael's scent, or at least one of them picks up Kael's scent and can detect it outside of the other scents in this grotto. Uh-oh, poor Kael. So the one lizard that picked up Kael's scent, it now gets on its legs. Its head shifts into Kael's general direction, and it begins hissing loudly. And Kael sees the one dragonborn clad in the heavy leather, very confidently, not at all scared. That dragonborn simply just slowly stands up, stops tending to the fire, and looks again out towards the grotto entrance, and barks something in Draconic, and that's when the other lizard-like creature, reptilian in form, with the spear, also stands, and then the other 4-legged green-scaled drake gets up on its legs, and now it's beginning to hiss because now it has instantly sniffed out Kael as well. So at this point, Kael is simply going to quietly back out of the grotto before he gets into any trouble. So the others see Kael back out of the grotto, and then as soon as he kind of gets a little ways from the entrance, he just spins around and goes running up to the group and says, well, I initially went in fairly quiet, but they got these 2 drakes. I think they picked up my scent. I'm sorry. I was as quiet as a mouse. I promise I was. Garron nods, and Penny shakes her head, and Thrumley rolls his eyes, and Thelwyn nods. Sister Haleen, she offers a quiet blessing over her weapon, and if someone saw it, Garron taps the pommel of his sword a few times. So Garron says, Okay, Whisper. You saw 2 drakes? Uh-huh. And you saw a dragonborn? Yeah. And how did he look? Kind of tough. Okay. Wearing leather armor. That's it? That's all I could see. What about the other one? Couldn't see what he was wearing for armor, but he had a spear. Oh, and he had a net. Maybe more than one? Okay. Thelwyn says, I wonder if Velistra and I could perhaps cast some magic. She and I both could attempt to either put one or the other to sleep. Velistra says, that may take some time. Perhaps dazing them? Ah, Thelwyn says, yes, I agree. That might be more expedient. Thrumley snorts, maybe it doesn't have to come to this. Maybe we just need to talk a little. And Sister Haleen says, exactly. There's no need to resort to violence right away. Velistra rolls her eyes. Dazing someone is not violence, my good cleric. Penny says, I think we should go and talk to them. Let's see if we can't negotiate the release of Gordy. Velistra responds, if Gordy's even here. Garron pauses. You know, I agree. Casters, elf, you magic types, you be prepared. Be prepared. Do whatever you can do. But just tell us who you're going to do it on. You're going to do it on the Dragonborn and the other reptile creature? Or the 2 drakes? Vallistra says, no. It'll be on the humanoids. Okay, understood. Okay, we'll keep our weapons ready, but let's go in. Let's see if we cannot at least parley. Perhaps they can tell us whether Gordy's there. If he is, maybe we can influence them to let him go. Thrumley nods, rubs the edge of his axe. Yeah, influence them. I agree. All right, well, let's move out then. So Garron leads them to the entrance to the grotto, and he shouts in common, "Hello! We mean you no harm. We want to come in and talk." And Kael says, they only speak Draconic, I think. Garron says, yeah, right. Thrumley? Thrumley clears his voice, and in what could only be garbled Draconic to the others, he begins speaking. And the Dragonborn responds and says, "Come in, but we have you covered. Don't try anything. We're not above handing it to you." Thrumley looks back at everybody. He said something about handing it to us. Penny says, "I think he meant our asses." Ah, yeah, of course. Well, maybe not. All right, I am going to set up the map and put the characters down. So here's the map. Characters are down here at the bottom. You can see that there is a muscular dragonborn mercenary with 2 axes and an attitude here. And there is a 4-legged lizard about the size of a large guard dog or small wolf. That's the drake. Over here is the other drake. And here is the lizard person with a spear and a large net, or maybe a few nets. Gordy's lying at the bottom of this pit here. If you look, you can see that the fires are blowing off some smoke. There's a few air bubbles bubbling up through the water here. There are the hides. And we go further in, and there are some foodstuffs and barrels over here. And if we move a little further in, you see another pool over here. Now, because Thalwyn and Thrumley have infravision, they point out that they can see the following on a ridge line at the back, or a ridge, sorry, on the back of the cave. And this is what they see. They see some what look like unarmored lizards that are holding blowpipes at the ready. However, that doesn't mean that the others see them, although they can say, you know, we've got company up on the ridge. It doesn't mean the others see them. And so the others are going to have to make some perception rolls at -4 to actually be able to see them, because the light itself is not actually reaching that area. It's reaching kind of the bottom of the ridge. So I'm just going to have everyone do a perception check vision at -4. I'm going to pause the video so that you can just see the results of the rolls. Okay, so here's the list of rolls, and you can see that the only person that succeeded in seeing those reptile men on the ridge was Kael. He succeeded by 0. So he can make out their forms, but the others cannot see them, except for the dwarf and the elf. Okay, so we'll just jump back into a little bit of role-playing here. So Kesk, the Dragonborn here, he says in Draconic, looking at the dwarf, by what right do you have to come into my home? And the dwarf will say, we're here because we are rescuing someone by the name of Gordy, and we have reason to believe that he's being kept here. And the Dragonborn says, well, then what is your name? At least introduce yourself to me. And Thrumley nods and says in Draconic his name. And who might you be? Dragonborn. And the mercenary says, my name is Kesk. And he says, well, it doesn't matter what you think. You're not walking out of here with my prize. The prisoner is not going to be released without a fight. So you can either turn tail right now and get out of my cave, or, and at that comment, Kesk hefts up his 2 axes, or you can come and get him. But you're going to have to do it over my dead body. And mine, says the other reptilian creature. And the 2 drakes hiss in agreement. So at this point, Garron sighs and says, very well, you want to do it the hard way, we'll do it the hard way. And we'll go into our combat. So we're going to start with, let's see, who shall we start with? We're going to start with, this fella here with the net. So I'm just going to bring that down a bit more. So he has a large net. In fact, he has 3 of them. So what he's got is his spear in his offhand, and he is going to, at this point, take aim at Thrumley in order to be prepared to throw it on Thrumley. So what he's going to do is technically a step and aim. So we're going to open up the combat tracker, and we are going to extend that just a little bit out. And for effects, what I did was I thought, because if there are those who are new to GURPS and are trying to understand how maneuvers work, on your turn in combat, you can choose a maneuver. And so this fella is choosing the maneuver called aim. And I'm going to drop that effect onto him. And then you'll see in the combat tracker, it says man or maneuver aim. So that is what he does on his turn. And now we'll go down the line here. So the next to act is the Drake. And the Drake is going to conduct basically a move and attack. So I'm going to drop that onto the Drake, and the Drake is going to, with amazing speed, the Drake is going to move down onto these characters. So he's going to go basically 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to go right into close combat with Thrumley and try to bite him. Because he's at doing a move and attack, he's going to be at -4 for this attempt to bite the Dwarf. The Dwarf is size modifier 0, so there's no modifier to the attack. Let's see if he bites Thrumley. And he succeeds by 2, unless, of course, Thrumley can dodge this. He has his shield up, and so in close combat, your only option is to dodge. Now, he could do a dodge and retreat, which is to step out of his hex as part of his active defense. He'll get a +3 bonus to do so, but this will apply to his dodge. So that's what he's going to do. He is going to basically move this way. If I can move him. There we go. So he kind of steps out as the Drake comes in to bite. That gives him a +3 to his dodge roll. But I think Thrumley is going to burn burn a fatigue point for an increased defense. And that is going to give him an additional +2 to his dodge of 7. So let's see if he can dodge this Drake's attack. And he critically succeeds. Ooh, I think that means that the Drake likely has to go to the critical miss table. So well done, Thrumley, to open up this combat. And we're going to bring up the critical miss table. And let's see what the Drake rolls on the critical miss table.